you are in the right place at the right time. Listen, it's Wonderful Wednesday. You see that bright smile over there? I've got my friend back again. I've got Stacy Simpson, reigning Miss Achievement World. She's in the house. Hey. Yeah. What'd you say? You want to bring out the marching band? Stacy, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. I'm even better now because I'm with you.
Oh,
you make me happy. You bring me happy joy, like happy vibes. You know, those good endorphins that we all need to go. Yeah, we're good.
Listen, my friend, it's always good to see you. Always good to see that smiling face over there. I'm so glad you came back. As we know that this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and you've come back to share with us today. And listen, you were saying a little something to me earlier about domestic violence awareness and the importance of sharing. And I'm gonna let you say that before. I'm not gonna let you say it. Listen, I sound so narcissistic, and I'm going to let you. The talk egg, the podcast Nazi, and I'm going to let you say that. No,
thank you.
No soup for you. I would like you to just elaborate what we were talking about earlier, because
sure.
I don't want to miss that stuff.
Sure. So October is Domestic Violence Awareness, and I am the survivor of domestic violence, sexual, physical, and emotional assault from the age of 5. And the one thing that I think that's really important is that with October being, because domestic violence doesn't always get a lot of attention, because a lot of people keep it very much still personally in the closet. People don't want to talk about it. And I don't want to normalize it. I don't want it to be something where we just go, oh yeah, okay. But I do believe that one of the biggest parts of this month is having survivors hear other survivor stories, so it helps them heal and feel that there are other people that have the same story and that they can relate to them, and that then discussions can happen. Because with any major trauma, you really need to have an opportunity to talk about the trauma to be able to work through it and get to a better place. And that is really, for me, the biggest part of October. Yes, breast cancer awareness is a big month for me because I've had breast cancer as well. And breast cancer awareness tends to be what everyone really focuses on the month of October, which is, again, super important. But I think that with domestic violence, it has been happening for so long and always brushed under the carpet, and not enough is said to help survivors recover from what they've been through.
So. Wonderful. Absolutely. And we're going to talk to the queen a little bit more when we come back. You see, she's got on purple. You see, I changed the color.
I did. I was like, oh, look at, yeah, there we go.
On. Yeah, she's got the purple on today. So we changed the color to go with the queen. And we're going to do the promo video. After the promo, we're going to come back and we're going to have lots and lots and lots of Stacy C. Simpson, reigning Miss Achievement World. So hold on for the promo. That's right.
Did it to me again. How do you make me cry every single time?
Oh,
So much beauty.
I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I thank you for your compliment. It really blesses me. We've got Stacy C. Simpson, reigning Miss Achievement World, and for those of you that don't know, I'm gonna go ahead and give us another hand. Have her in the house. Absolutely, she's a three-time cancer survivor who's given 8 weeks. Who was given 8 weeks to live. September 11th, 1996. She had heart failure as a side effect. Listen, she's a Navy SEAL, guys. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you a track record. Um, she's been diagnosed with Asperger's. As a child, she was sexually, physically, and emotionally assaulted. And if you didn't hear that story, you need to check out the last show. It was thebomb.com. I tell you, she really just told us some things. It was awesome. She's the reigning Miss Achievement World. She's represented the USA at the World Pageant in July. She's been involved in that's right. She got the bling on. She got the purple on. That's right. She's been involved in the pageant industry for the last 39 years. And she's graced the stage for several known systems. The NYFW, Miami Swim Week. The Simpson is the CEO of Imagination, and that provides movement and it's a movement education program for children. She's also the CEO and the host of Pageantry Now, which in not Pageantry Now, which interviews pageant title holders from all over the world. And I already said you're a three-time cancer survivor. Did I repeat myself?
It's okay.
On Leghorn. I say, boy. In 2011, she was hit by a truck while riding her bicycle, and you were doing it, and actually you were hit by the truck while trying to collect money, right? For the Heart Association.
Not for the Heart Association. That was for one of my cancer charities, for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. So
yeah, and she's hit by a truck. Then she became the first woman to receive cardiac stem cells to repair the damage to her heart. She's an ambassador for heart failure, for the American Heart Association. Hey, listen, guys, she's been featured on the Today Show, Inside Edition, CNN, NBC Nightly News, and NPR. She's the winner of the President's Call to Service Award for guess how much? Over 15,000 hours of community service. That alone. And she resides in Miami, Florida, MIA, with her husband.
305.
305. Oh, 305. Listen, my buddy is a Miami Dolphin fan, which Hardrick Portier, he's not so happy right now. But that's all he talks about.
Oh, I'm not a Dolphins fan. I'm a Dallas fan.
Up. Listen, I gotta find.
I'm a Dallas fan.
We look at the Holy Ghost there today. Talk about Dallas Cowboys. Hey! But that's tonight's show. I'll be talking trash about the Cowboys. Absolutely, we'll be talking that Dallas Cowboy stuff. But Queen Stacy, we're so glad to have you with us today, and it's so awesome that you would come and share your story about domestic violence. I think South Carolina is the leader. Where I live at is the leader.
Wow.
Is the leader, and that's a horrible statistic to have. I don't
not
have
a statistic you want, right?
No, it's not a statistic that you want. Stacy, we're gonna start out just by asking you just to give us a little background. I remember I can bridge the gap a little. That you had encountered this guy before. Yeah. And now, you know what? I'm gonna let you give a little background about you don't have to go in depth because you already went in depth. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. For the people that this is their first time tuning in, they'll have to definitely go back and check out the first show because the first
gotta
show,
watch the first show. The first show's got a lot of information.
Gotta see the first show. Gotta
God,
see it.
this is edition 2. We had to
This
come
is
back for more.
part 2, guys. This is part 2. That's right. I'm gonna let you give a little background, and then we're gonna go ahead and start talking about the domestic violence.
Sure. So, if you start from when I was young, my mom had some mental issues. But the first assault happened when I was 5. I was had a next door neighbor who was a teenager, and he started assaulting me over the summer. And then at 11, I was my dog is barking. Sorry. At 11, my grandfather did it as well. And as I told my mom, said, well, that's normal. That's things that happen in our family. That's things that men do. You're just going to have to accept it. And then moving forward, got into a relationship that was also my first boyfriend, who was um, also aggressive, and we got into some pretty nasty stuff. And he got me intoxicated and had his friends rape me. And then I ended up being attacked by my dad afterwards, because my mom, in one of her delusional states, told my dad that I was killing her after she found out about the rape and what happened with that. So I ended up having to have reconstructive surgery to put my face back together. So I fought really hard from the age of 16 to 18 to try to get out of the home, but I wasn't able to. And because of my mom's delusions and her mental status being worse, because she was going through menopause, the situation got worse. So that is that part of it. And I would love to say that the abuse ended when I left the home, but I moved in with the boy that assaulted, or had his friends assault me and his family assault me. So that is not exactly where the story ended. So
All right, and you're so brave, and thank you for being so candid. Um, uh, we're gonna go ahead and pick up where that story uh, uh, starts again with this guy that had abused you. Um, and so in dealing with in doing the domestic violence shows that I've done before, I noticed that everybody always says, he was charming. His first he was charming, and then came the control, and so tell us about this guy. Was were there tremors before the earthquake? Did you see smoke before the volcano erupted? Um, what happened? What happened in dealing with this guy the second time?
the second time, so it really was. He was older. He was older. He was 5 years older. And I think he was looking for somebody to groom. We talk about things like that often. That um, abusers of people that are look for people that they know are compliant, and or could be compliant. And immediately, he tried to sweep me off my feet. He was good looking, he was charismatic, he said all of the right things. And it really made me immediately feel safe. So immediately I felt loved. I mean, he talked about love like right away. Oh, you're beautiful and I love you. And I was a teenage girl that had not had that in my home, because my mom was a victim of sexual assault and abuse as well. So it wasn't something that was openly spoken about or said. And I think that he caught on to that very, very quickly. And I was just like a month away from my 15th birthday when he and I started dating, and he was 20. So there was that issue there. So he was in college, and I was like, oh my gosh, a college guy likes me and he's treating me well. And he bought me gifts right away. And it really became, he started writing me notes all the time. Oh, I love you. I can't wait to see you. He'd call me as soon as I got out of school, or he'd meet me at school, or, and walk me home. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting all this attention. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And then there were really strange things. Like, I would be talking to a guy when he would come to the school, and he'd be like, you can't talk to him. I'd be like, why? Oh, you're cheating on me. I'm like, I'm not cheating on you. Like, you're my boyfriend. Like, I don't see anybody else. And oh, no, no, no. And then on the flip side, he would like talk to my friends and be like very flirty with my friends. And it would be like, well, and I would say something, that makes me uncomfortable. Please, don't talk to my friends. Oh, I'm not doing anything. You're out of your mind. So it became this you know, dichotomy where I couldn't talk to anybody. He started to pull me away from my friends. He started to pull me away from, I mean, a lot of my friends were guys. And just because I related better with men than I did with women. And, it was immediately shutting me off from them. He immediately shut me off from my family. Oh, don't listen to your family. Your mom's crazy. Like, and yes, my mom did have issues, but like it was immediately trying to pull me away from my family. And so that's the next step. Is that first it's grooming, then it's isolation, and then he would start to do little things just to make me feel like I perhaps was the problem. So yeah.
And it never gets old. It doesn't matter who tells the story. It's always the same things: the grooming, the isolation, um, getting you on an island by yourself. Where they could, where he can just have total rule. You
Yeah.
know, almost like a totalitarian dictatorship, basically.
He wanted to manipulate me in any way he possibly could, and made sure that he had the ability to be able to do that. So
Were there any checking of text, looking at your phone? Was there any of that going on?
back then we didn't have those things.
Okay, and I'm thinking that I was
I'm like, nope, nope, we
yeah,
didn't
we
have those then. I had
yeah,
letters. So
yeah.
he wrote me notes every day. Like, and that was part of it. His younger brother went to my school. So his younger brother every morning would meet me outside of the school and hand me a letter that he wrote to me. And I think if my mom had seen the letters, maybe that would um have been something to like kind of give her an idea. But because my mom wouldn't let me in the house, I was only allowed in the house to sleep and to have dinner. Everything else I was outside. So I mean, I would go off on bike rides for 3 or 4 hours just to be outside, or I was at the gym training. So it was like I wasn't her problem to deal with. So I think that maybe if she had, I kept the letters in like my notebooks for school. That was never something she would have ever gone through. So now if I'd left them on the bed, that would have been a whole different issue, because then she would have lost it. So
Right. How did you feel? And you talked about how how the I love you and all the accolades and everything and the things all the emotion he was just pouring out and and writing the letters and the attention. You talked about how that made you feel, but at that point in time, how did you feel about Stacy Simpson when you looked in the mirror?
oh, I did not like me very much. And I think that was, well, I don't think, I know it was because of my mom. My mom really was part of the problem from that standpoint as well, because I was really book smart. My Asperger's made it so that I was very, very studious, but I didn't always take care of my looks. And my mother was very, very, this is more important than being smart. And so I would constantly hear, I don't care if you're smart. That's not going to do anything for you. If you're not beautiful, if you don't look good, if you're not able to make men take care of you, then you're worthless. And I really, you're ugly, you're fat, your hair is horrible. Like, you don't know how to be a girl. You don't know how to act like a lady. Uh, I didn't even wear pants until I was 12. I wore a dress my whole life. So it wasn't until jeans came out, like Jordache jeans and the fancy jeans, that all of a sudden my mom was like, "Oh, we have to get those for you." And I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "They're a status symbol, and we need those. So people need to understand that we're rich."
Wow.
So I thought I was fat because I didn't. I wore a size 24 jean, which like that means my waist was 24. And she would be like, "You're a fat pig. You need to lose weight." I mean, I was very athletic because I was a gymnast, so I didn't fit into what her idea of what you know beauty was. And so, and because she had kept me from having any kind of, I wasn't allowed to hug my dad. There was no physical contact in our family. We didn't say I love you. Being at this point in my life as a teenager, I knew that I saw all my other friends, they'd get hugs from their family. "Oh, I love you. Oh, let's do this, let's do that." So I knew that that's what you saw it on TV. Like even watching the Cosbys, you're like, "Oh, they love each other." Like, why don't we? Like, what's the problem? So I think that's really the bigger key of this, is that I hated myself. I hated the way I looked. I thought that being smart was awful, that I'd been, I'd had this horrible thing happen to me because I was smart. Now my dad was very happy that I was smart, and my dad, had these plans that I was going to be an attorney, and so having a 4.0 GPA was super important to him. And it was just this horrible like dichotomy between her and him, because you know, he was very, very well educated and good provider. I mean, in the 80s, he was making almost $200,000 a year. Like, we lived well, and yet I was constantly told we didn't have any money, and I was like, well, maybe if I didn't have like 6 pairs of Jordache jeans that were in every single color, and then my brother wore Ralph Lauren at the age of 5, there wouldn't be a problem. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So it was all about status for my mom, and that was not what my heart was seeking. I even though I have Asperger's, I was really looking for an emotional connection, and I don't know if this guy just felt that or knew that, or he knew right away what to do.
So on one side, Queen Stacy, here you were, it's almost like your parents were vicariously living through you, because on one side you had these great expectations of academic academic domination, and then on the other side you had your mom making you making you a fashionista. And
Yeah.
so that guy kind of, I guess, the boyfriend, did he kind of give you a place where you can just let your hair down and just be Stacy?
In the beginning, yes. But shortly after, like, he knew that we were definitely, you know, definitely boyfriend, girlfriend. I wasn't dating it, going steady. Uh, it probably took about 6 months. And then I think he kind of realized that using my mom's words were a easier way to manipulate me. So I would hear words from him like "fat," "you're not polished." His family, I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know it till much later. His family was part of the Colombian drug lords from South America, part of the cocaine cowboys. And so I didn't know things about proper etiquette. So, meeting his mother, he was like, "Well, the first time you meet my mom, it's extremely important that if she stands up, that you stand up, that you don't sit down before she sits down. You have to sit like a lady." He actually was the person that showed me how to use silverware properly, because they had proper lunch with a full seated lunch and dinner. They lived a different type of lifestyle, and I was constantly being told, "No, you can't sit like that. No, you have to fold your hands like that. You have to put your legs like this. You have to, be respectful and not speak unless my mom speaks to you." And it was it was all like really kind of surreal. Like I just didn't understand. It was a world I didn't understand, because my mom, even though she was very much about appearances, uh, her family is from the South, so yes, there were certain things that were very Southern, but she wasn't raised with those niceties. She just wasn't that person. Like that's the thing that always blows my mind when I look back at it. I go, but she didn't know any of those things that were, please and I mean, yes, we said please and thank you, but I used a knife with a fork like this for like the longest time because I didn't know proper holding. So like I don't understand how it was that she was always so concerned about the way I looked, because it was always this look. It was not how I acted in certain ways. So yeah. So weird. That's weird.
It is, and so Colombian drug lord, being in this world now, how was it? Once you, I guess, once that after that 6 month initial grooming period, when he felt that he had you, um, what happened next? What are the sights and sounds and the things that you experienced um, inside that bubble?
Then once we, I mean, there were always gifts. Like there was, I didn't realize that, he went to Colombia once a month. It didn't occur to me. He drove a really nice car. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's rich. Like I rich, like I don't understand rich, and I didn't, I guess I was just naive that I didn't really understand those things. And um, then we started more with the controlling. Oh, you can't talk to that. I saw you. My brother said that you were talking to this person at school. So then it was, now I've got his brother watching everything I'm doing in school. And then because his father was fairly powerful in Colombia, then I had people following me. So I actually had men that followed everything I did. So wherever I went, if I went out with a friend, my boyfriend would call me and go, oh, I know where you went with your friend. And you weren't there as long as you said you were there. I know you weren't. So it became every move that I made. So even in school, I couldn't get away from it because his brother was still telling him what was going on. And then as soon as I left school, it was still happening. So everything I did. So, I'd go to babysit and I'd be like, there would be cars driving by, like wherever I was babysitting. It was really, now when I look back, it just seems like I was in some kind of crazy movie that you hear and you see, like uh, you see these things happening. You go, oh, that they are really creative that they came up with it. That was really the kind of control. Everything I did, he knew every single moment, and it was his family controlling everything so that they had a narrative. And then it became, my clothing wasn't appropriate, the way I walked wasn't appropriate. I was very, very thin, but I was super muscular. So, he was constantly telling me I was still fat, I was still overweight. My thighs were too big, they needed to be smaller. I needed to, you know I go back and I look at pictures and I go, gosh, like how could I have ever thought I was fat? And I know it's because I was getting it from both sides. I was getting it from him and I was getting it from my mom too. And I wasn't. Like I was a size 4. Like there's no way that I was ever fat. So and then it became well, I need to be with you when you're not, when you're at home. And I was like, well, my parents don't want you. My mom didn't want him around the house, because I think she knew within probably within a year, like at that point, there was something definitely wrong, because I started to become more defiant. I started to become more independent from the family. I was no longer doing exactly what my mom said, which my mom had been the abuser before that. So I went from one to the other and started doing what he said instead of what she said. And that's when that started causing more complications for us at home. And then it was like, you can't see him anymore. And I'm like, so I would sneak out in the middle of the night. And that was how the situation happened where I got raped, was that he was testing me. So I snuck out in the middle of the house in the night at 16, and he drugged my drink. I keep thinking it was Kool-Aid. It was something fruity. It wasn't even like a pop or anything like that. It was, and I woke up to being assaulted by his family members. So, and that was one of his manipulations too, because he immediately was like, well, see, this is the kind of woman you are. I can't trust you. You're cheating on me. Look at, if you really loved me, you wouldn't have let that happen. And I was unconscious. Like, how could I have had any? And then immediately, that was the other thing too, is that he would get mad at me, break up with me. I would cry. I'd be hysterical. I'd have problems. And it was for little things that he would break up with me. And then, a day later, I'd be begging and begging and begging. Oh, okay. If you can promise not to do those things again, then I'll take you back. So that was exactly what happened with this situation. He broke up with me. He said some very not nice things to me about the type of woman I was. And it was a manipulation. And so when I found out I was pregnant from that assault, and when I told him I was pregnant, he's like, well, that's your problem. It's not my problem. You were the not nice woman that did that. So you brought it on yourself. That's your fault. So, and, broke up with me again. So in the middle of that, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And do I have the baby? I'm a teenager. I ended up choosing not to, just because, like, even the idea, he's like, you don't even know who the father is. And I was like, well, yeah, you kind of did that to me. He's like, I didn't do that. You did that. You shouldn't have let it happen. It's your fault. And I thought it was for a really long time.
Yeah, that's real heavy, Stacy. I'm sorry you enjoyed that. I tell you, and so was that the last incident that you had with him?
No. So, kind of fast forwarding. I'm not fast forwarding. My mom found out that I got pregnant. I didn't have the baby. My mom told my dad I was trying to kill her. My dad attacked me. I am in the hospital having the surgeries and stuff. He comes to the hospital and, demands to see me. And my mom and my dad are like, no, this is your problem. This is your fault. So then he's trying to get back with me. Meanwhile, I find out that he started seeing my best friend while I was in the hospital, and started having a sexual relationship with her, uh, which I stayed with him. Like, I got, when I got out of the hospital, they protective services said, you can either go home with your family or we can put you in an institution. There isn't an option for a 16-year-old. So, you need to decide what you want to do. And the person on the case said, listen, I'm going to tell you honestly, you're a very intelligent, rational person. Go home with your parents because it will be safer than going into a facility. So I did, and then he and I didn't date for a little while, and I started dating another guy. Like, we had broken up and I was okay with that. And I started dating this other guy. And then I started getting messages from him, notes from his brother. Oh, I saw that guy with you. Oh, I heard that you're doing this. I can't believe you would do this to me. I thought we were in love. I thought you were my girlfriend. I thought you loved me. Well, how could you cheat on me like that? And I was like, we broke up. Like, I'm like, what's the problem? Like, this guy is my age. He goes to my school. He's, it was a better situation. Like, it was the right thing. And then eventually he broke me down and we started dating again. And so it was this constant on again, off again, on again, off again thing. And when I turned 18, because I tried to be emancipated from my family because of the issues that were going on within the family that progressively got worse because of the original, well, not even the original assault from my dad, but the major assault from my dad. Um, and so when I turned 18, I moved in with him.
So his sexual assault led to you going home and being physically assaulted, and now you move in with him.
Yeah,
And did you feel trapped? Did you feel like you were between a rock and a hard place?
absolutely. Absolutely. And it really defined so many things that happened later in my life. I mean, these relationships are the basic relationships that you build all of your emotional stability off of. And I really my life was so controlled. Like the men that followed me were with me 24/7 at that point. Like they were always, you know, in the parking lot of the apartment building. They were always waiting for me outside of my work. They were always there. Every movement I made was absolutely followed. And he would, I would make simple mistakes at home and he would hit me, and he would beat me on a regular basis. um at one point he tied me to the bed, like and tortured me. Like I haven't even talked about this to anybody. It was absolutely um horrific. And the final straw happened when I made a mistake making spaghetti. He didn't like the way I made it, and because I didn't have any like homemaker skills. I didn't. My mom never taught me how to cook or anything, so I literally learned how to do stuff on my own. And he didn't like it, and he pulled a 45 and put it to my head and pulled the trigger. And luckily, um, there was nothing in the chamber, so I left. I left screaming. Like I was. That was the moment where that was that click. I will never forget it because I almost died there. And I know that something again was saving my life, keeping me here. So I haven't talked to anybody about this. Like, I mean, my therapist, but I haven't really talked about it openly. So um and I went home with to my mom, which that was really hard because I had to, go back and go, yes, you were right. And that was hard.
You are you are tremendously courageous. You are super brave. I thought you were my hero when you were on the show last time, but you're even more my hero now. Um, Stacy, for what you've endured, I'll tell you though, uh, they didn't win. They
Nope.
didn't win. And there's a scripture in the Bible. It says, what the enemy meant for evil, God turned it around and used it for good. And so, this diamond that you are, this diamond of a person that you are, even though there was all that pressure and all that squeezing. I mean, what you've become and who you are, they can never take that away from you.
No, the irony is that on my 55th birthday, he reached out to me. He found me on Instagram. I did, and I probably should say this. I ended up marrying somebody else after he and I broke up. I was with that person for 5 years. When he and I, my first husband, when he and I split up, I was walking through the mall, and this guy was standing at a payphone because that's what he did. That's how he did all of his deals. And he saw me, and he's like, "Stay. I love you. I still love you. Please, 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 please. I've changed. I'm not that person anymore. Trust me." And we started dating again, and it went back to exactly everything that happened because I don't think that I had totally healed. I didn't have closure. And he attacked me again, and I lost it. It was I had superhuman strength. I picked him up and threw him into a coffee table and immediately called 911, and then they arrested him. And he's like, how could you do this? She attacked me. This is all her. And the police officer was like, you're in her home. You are not on the lease. You have attacked her. We are taking you to jail. And that was that moment where I found myself. Like, I know that having that moment set me free. And so when he contacted me for my birthday, my current husband was like, you're going to talk to him? Like, of all of the exes you have, he's the one that you're not, because when Mike and I started dating, I had this crazy story about my exes and about how they're either bad people or rebounds. They're either one or the other. And he's like, so I need you to tell me if they reach out to us, if we ever see them, what the level of it's okay is it? And this guy was a no. He is not allowed to be near me ever. So Mike was like, why are you talking to him? I'm like, because now it's hysterical, because now he's stuck in Colombia and he wants me to bring him back to the United States. His dad was arrested and was in penitentiary. Like, he got arrested for drug dealing. And I'm like, and he's stuck at home with his mom. And I'm like, no, it's good. This is funny. We need this. For closure. Like, I needed it for closure. I needed to know that the universe, you hear about karma, you hear about, and you sit and you wait for it. Sometimes I always say, it's really slow. It takes its time. But this was that moment where I knew I had been in the right. I had done everything right. I had gotten to this place where I was so proud of who I was, and I didn't let him destroy that. And that was so, and not just enlightening, it like took so much off of my brain, where I was like, I know that I'm victorious. I have done all of these amazing things, and it was in spite of him. So yeah.
You talked about karma. You just made me think of one of my favorite, and I want to give you this for fighting back. I'm giving you that for fighting him back, and I'm so glad you fought him back. And stuck in Colombia, you can almost make a song out of that.
I'm sure there's something. So I mean, I'm like, I think that's pretty appropriate. I mean, in the middle of COVID, and he ended up marrying one of my friends and has a child, and they have disowned him. Like, they will not speak to him. I'm assuming that the abusiveness continued, and so it was the same situation. And I mean, I do feel badly that he's alone, but I think that when you put yourselves in those situations, you have to pay the penance for it. Like, there has to be some level of karma.
Yeah, I don't feel bad he's alone. I'm glad he's alone. And I know somebody said, "Oh, that's such a mean thing to say," but I just feel he was working on it. One of my you mentioned karma. One of my favorite shows is My Name Is Earl, and he's always working on his list. Um, do you feel now that you have a list that you're working on after going through and living through all those things?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, and honestly, the list didn't start because now it's really a bucket list. Like, the people that were close to me really were, was my dad. I mean, I really didn't have a lot of people that were close to me. There was one family that helped me. They pretty much took me into their home so that I could be safe while we were trying to get me out of my parents' home too. And the dad was a police officer. The girls, I babysat for them. They became my foster family without legally becoming my foster family. I just babysat for them 5 days a week. Like, it was always that I was there. So that was my safe space. So that was super important, to make sure that, I tried to help them and love them and be there and make sure that I I could help take care of them. And then like uh, in 2012, Mike and I started a bucket list, which was really, instead of going through and trying to do kind things for other people, which I did really start doing, giving back to of myself after 9/11, just because that was my moment of going, oh, this is what we're supposed to do with life. Okay, so I'm supposed to tell my story, go raise money for charity, go do these things because it is me giving back to the universe for me being here. Like, so that was really, really good for me. And that those good deeds enabled me to share my story, help me heal, and help other people through that. And then in 2012, we started the bucket list, which was, if we could do anything in the world, what would we want to do? And I'm now, I mean, yeah, a lot of it was very self centered. Like, I really wanted to go to Miss USA. I'd never been to Miss USA. Now I have been to Miss USA and Miss Universe for the last 7 years. You know, things that were bigger things, like telling my story. So, I wanted to be on Ellen. Well, now I've been on podcasts. I've been on NBC Nightly News. I've been on the Today Show. Like, those things have enabled me to share more of my story and be able to get it out there. So, and just wanting to make dreams happen, not just for me. Like, we're working right now. My pageant sisters and I are working right now to work for a young lady who's 16. She has autism. She has a really rare disorder, and we're trying to make her Make-A-Wish happen because she will not survive long enough for it to go through the Make-A-Wish process. So, we're going to try to make her life magical while we have that opportunity. And charities that I work with, like I work with the 4-Day Foundation, which that is their whole thing. We go into children's hospitals and we host parties for kids that are going through cancer treatments, and they become a queen for a day and get crowned over their illness, or they become a hero for a day, and a firefighter or police officer, comes and visits with them and spends time with them. And those moments, I mean, I was a director for the 4-Day Foundation for 6 years. And those are some of the most magical moments in all of the things that I've ever done, because giving of myself, making kids' dreams happen, is what builds me up. With my gymnastics company, I don't want an Olympian. I want happy, healthy kids that feel that they can become great humans. When I hear a child say, Miss Stacy, I want to be you when I grow up, I go, oh my God, that is such a blessing, because that means I'm giving them love. I don't have biological children, but I have 375 kids that I can be a role model for and show them love and light. And that is my journey. That's the most important thing in the world for me. My why. So,
Stacy, you just, I'm just blown away. Every time we have conversation, you just blow me away every time. Uh, you're just this resilient uh, gladiator. And when I think about you, I call you a Navy SEAL. We talk about that all the time. I always call you a Navy SEAL, but I'm gonna change that to gladiator. One of my favorite movies,
I'm,
when Russell
I'm like,
Crowe.
I'm one of the 300, baby.
That's right. You want 300 all day long. That's right. I'll be like, if I ever have problems, I'll be like, yo, don't let me call MIA. Don't let me call Patty Simpson. So the beauty queen, I'm like, don't let that fool you. Don't let me call Patty Simpson. Do I have to be on the phone? Call my friend. Do I have to call Stacy Simpson? I don't know who Patty is. Patty Simpson owes me $5. Do I call Stacey Simpson? And so I'm getting ready to ask you a question, for what Carl Jung said. So that was a Freudian slip. So maybe that's where my state of um Carl Jung, however you say it. He said, "I'm not what happened to me. I'm what I chose to become. I'm what I choose to become." Um, how do you feel that ties into to who you are and in your story?
Well, I think that you had a good analogy about coal becoming a diamond, because you do, pressure does create something totally beautiful, and pressure in bad situations really can have something magical happen from it. But I also believe that you have the ability to change your perspective. So before 30, before I was diagnosed with my cancer, I was very angry. I was very non-forgiving. Like, these things happened to me, and I wasn't uh, the positive person I am now. And I went through really bad bouts of depression because I still felt I was still the fault of the things that happened to me. Um, because I said that I was the only key player that was consistent in all those things. It had to be me, so that was the way I looked at it. Um, and then uh, cancer just made it so that I realized, it was the epiphany that I needed to make me see my own strength, to realize that despite these horrible things that keep happening to me, that I am stronger than anything, and that mental resilience, in a way that I'm in therapy now, and my therapist is always like, I cannot imagine. He was, I've never met somebody with so much resilience, so much strength, so much ability to overcome, and you continue to be smiling and happy and positive. And I'm like, I chose happiness. I chose it. It was a decision that I had to make, and I choose to be a brilliance, a light. And that's not always easy. It's really easy to, honestly, I think it's easier to go down the darker path. I think it's easier to wallow in the self-pity. I think it's easier to be angry. But those are all emotions that are energy not spent well. And the moment I let the anger go, the moment I let the hatred go, the moment I let the pity, the self-suffering go, I, I'm a butterfly. Like, I came out of it and went, oh, this is the world. Oh, okay, great. I love that. So I mean, it really, it took some work. It took some time. I'm not gonna tell you it was easy. It wasn't. And but I am grateful. I most people will never say this, but I'm grateful I was diagnosed with cancer, because it really made me get it. So made me get it.
Stacy, Craig Scott. Well, I gotta say what Maya Angelou said. Maya Angelou said, each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it, possibly without claiming it, she stands up for all women. Do you feel when you stood up for yourself, when you retaliated, when you threw the guy, when you called the police finally, do you feel like it was not just for Stacy Simpson, but it was for all women?
All of us need to. I just got honored at an event last weekend called Sister, I Got Your Back, amongst 22 other amazing women, including Muhammad Ali's ex wife, which was astounding to me, because here I am with this group of uh, lawyers and people who started, doctors and ministers, and people who started charities, and I was like, why am I here? And I realized it's because I stand up with women every time we stand up with women. One of former Miss Universe Zoe Tunzi said, for Miss Universe 2019, said women need to take up space. We need to stand up on top of the shoulders of each other to lift each other up and be seen and to be heard. And that is standing up and having the courage to say, no, you're not going to do this to me anymore. I'm stronger than that. Was my moment of finding that beginning piece of healing so that I could be stronger and take up more space.
From every wound, there is a scar, and every scar tells a story that says, "I survived." That was written by Craig Scott. Um, if your scars uh, had a conversation, the emotional scars and the physical scars, um, the mental scars, what would they say to each other?
We're badass. I have had so many people from within pageantry, within the things that I events that I've been in, fashion shows, things. Why don't you cover your scars? I'm like, because they're me. They represent everything that I have been through, and they are not flaws to me. My imperfections make me perfect. I would not be the woman I am today without every single one of them. And I am super proud of that. So,
I tell you what, you preaching now. Um, Stacy, and it's just it's so what are the and this is my last question for you today. Um, what pearls of wisdom would you share with that woman today or man that's watching this show that's gonna or maybe that's gonna hear it on Buzzsprout um or whatever other medium that it's gonna be broadcast across? What pearl of wisdom would you share with them if they feel trapped and they're in an abusive relationship?
it is really easy to let it continue, unfortunately. The hard step is believing that it can be better. So, don't get to the place where I got, where I was being hurt, where it actually, was dangerous. I could have died. It would probably might have died. I didn't, because of God's grace, and that is wonderful. But get out. Take, as terrifying as it is, as uncomfortable as it is to think that you will not be safe if you leave. I promise you, you are not safe if you stay. Go to someone you trust. Find a way to have a plan to get out. There are shelters available to you. There are opportunities where people will keep you safe, that they will protect you. Find them and utilize them. I know the domestic violence hotline number is there and it's up. Please use it. Get help. You are not alone. There are people there to help you, and just believe that it is not safer staying. The devil you know right now is not okay.
Mm. That guys, that is Queen Stacy C. Simpson, reigning Miss Achievement World. Once again, she comes in here to the moral compass and she shuts it down.
Thank
And
you.
Stacy, I just, I want to say that I draw strength from hearing you and hearing your story. I draw strength from seeing your resilience. I think the human race is so lucky to have you. And when you talk about the dignitaries that you sit at the table with, and it may make you feel, you know, kind of like, wow, they got me sitting at this table. I think they're extremely lucky to be sitting at the table with you.
Thank you. That's super sweet. I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I have these moments and that I have these opportunities, and uh, that I have people like you that are willing to let me share my story and be raw and to say things that, maybe I don't say in public, but to push me to that place where I do share them because somebody will hear it and be inspired. And that's the goal. Like that, there's no reason that all of this happened to me to just sit back and wallow in it. It's for me to be able to hopefully help somebody else. So thank you for giving me a chance to do that.
Oh, I love you, my friend. I'm so glad you
Love
came.
you too.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad you came today, and I thank you for being so transparent. And I know that you're blessing people because you bless me. I'm gonna leave you with leave everybody watching with one saying I saw. It blessed me. It's like a light went off. It's like an aha moment. It said, and it's an unknown saying, but it's gonna be my new saying. It says, "Don't light yourself on fire trying to brighten someone else's existence." And I just love it.
That is so true. That is so true. Oof. Oof.
Woo! Isn't that heavy? I
Yeah,
could put
we
a sermon
and
on
you know
that.
what? You don't want to burn out your light either. Your light is important. You got to be able to do self-care and take care of yourself so that you can continue to be that light.
And so we'll have Stacy back, guys. Believe it. You better believe it. Yeah, this is part two. Probably be a part three, four, five, six. Yeah, we're gonna be having the queen back. Every time we can get the queen, we're gonna be having the queen back. And I just have to give her this today. Absolutely. Stacy, we love you. Thank you for coming. And I hope the rest of your week, the rest of your day, the rest of your month, the rest of your year is awesome.
You too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful. You're an amazing human. I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, dear. And to everybody tuning in today, thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll be coming back to you tonight with our Dallas Cowboys show.
Woohoo!
Hey, that's right. We them boys. And we're gonna go ahead and close out now. Have a wonderful day. This is Cornell Johnson, Queen Stacy, C. Simpson. We'll see you guys later.